So this is the lesson that is due today. Click on the screen that I'm sharing. Just want to make sure I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I'm sharing my screen. All right, this is the lesson that is due today. A lot of people already completed it. Good job to those of you who did it early as well. Another thing, guys, before I want to say anything, I didn't think I was going to say this, but don't copy. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Don't copy from other students. It's pretty obvious when you copy from other students. Also, it's getting reported to the principal. So yeah, don't copy. I know it's crazy for some of you to think that some people copy, but they do, and we know who they are. All right. So variation review. So variation review is the topic for today, and just want to go over this because a lot of people are having trouble just coming up with what generic variation means, and they're trying to look at their notes and they're trying to see what generic variation is. I need the definition that is correct, guys. Generic variation just means that organisms look different. All right. So in a population, like let's say our classroom, people look different from each other. That's what generic variation is. It's just differences between organisms in the same population. And because their phenotype is different, that means that phenotype, remember, is how they look like. Then we can assume that their genotype is different too. All right. So if we ask what is generic variation, you're just going to say differences in phenotype and genotype, differences how they look, and differences in their genes as well. All right. If you're not muting yourself, please mute yourself. That goes to, let's see who it is. Please mute yourself, guys. Angelina, please mute yourself. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. So this is the lesson that is due today. There is a couple questions, and there is just an example or a little, I would say, another way to see sexual reproduction. This is a ball of M&Ms. So the reason we posted that is because sexual reproduction is a lot like this ball of M&Ms. The reason we have variation is because if you had a bowl of M&Ms and you were to take two at a time, every single time you will get two different colors or you get a different combination every single time. It would be really weird if you got the same combination twice in a row. And that's what sexual reproduction is. It's just combining different alleles from each parent. And the kids are going to have, each one of them is going to have a different combination of these genes, of these alleles. All right. So that's why sexual reproduction produces genetic variation. It's not because there's something special about sexual reproduction. It's just because you're mixing all the genes and the alleles from each parent. I'm still waiting for Angelina to mute herself. If not, I'm gonna just remove her. Angelina, if you want, I can remove you and you can log in back. All right. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna go to the chat in a little bit. Just wanted to get that out of the way. And the reason we have genetic variation in sexual reproduction is because of meiosis. Remember, meiosis was that process we were talking about a week and a half ago, and it was just producing sex cells or gametes, which are basically just one chromosome from each parent. So remember, we all have in this classroom, we have pairs of chromosomes. One set of chromosomes is from one parent, one set of chromosomes is from another parent. And the reason we get that is by the process of meiosis. If you don't understand meiosis that much, just understand that meiosis is just how we separate those alleles, and those alleles get mixed in the kids. So meiosis is just like the Punnett square of nature. It's just us dividing the alleles from each parent, and those alleles are able to mix with the other parent. All right, so that's why we get different combinations, because those two alleles from each parent would mix with the other parent. And the same way, if we were to have kids, our alleles will divide to produce sex cells and mix in different kids, right? So that's the combinations we get. Is because sexual reproduction, and the process is called meiosis. And then we have the graph from 2 days ago. We're just describing it, just explaining it a little bit better. And for the practice, we have another example about sexual reproduction and also about genetic variation. And we have a couple of graphs like this. You're going to see these graphs in the exit ticket and practice. just wanted to call on someone who has done the exit ticket from yesterday. All right, guys, so I'm gonna call on someone who did the exit ticket from yesterday. I'm gonna call on Elijah. Is still Elijah here by any chance? All right, let me call on Reina. So Reina, if you did the exit ticket or the practice from yesterday, can you unmute yourself and can you explain what is the correct way of looking at this type of graphs?
Wait, from yesterday?
Yeah, the one that is due today. Do you? Yeah, that's what I thought. Sorry, I know you'll get it, but let me call on someone. All right, guys. So whoever did the exit ticket from yesterday, if you can just let me know in the chat so you can explain the graphs for everybody else. I know Leah did it. I don't know if Leah's here. Yeah, I don't see it. All right, if not, I'm gonna explain myself. Let me see. Let me see who did it. All right, I don't think from the people that I see here, you guys probably didn't do it. All right, so let me just explain myself. All right, guys, so you're gonna see these graphs in the practice and the exit ticket. The way I want you to look at these graphs is by looking at each axis separately. So if we look at this axis in here, and by axis we mean what the line on the bottom means. The line on the bottom says time and also has an arrow pointing right. That means that the further we go into that line, the further we go into this graph, the more time has passed. So if this was, let's say, a year ago, and this was today, then we will be going in the future. We will be going increasing the time every single time we're moving in these graphs. So the earlier organisms, in this case, are going to be grasses, and the later organisms are going to be the ones that survive in this side. And the second thing that I want you to know is that the y-axis, or the axis that is vertical, the one in here, it doesn't have a name, but usually you can infer and you can make this prediction every single time that you don't see anything here. This is the amount. This is the number of organisms. Just like in the practice for this, not the spring break, the weird week, we had a number of students as the y-axis. In this case, the y-axis is also the number of organisms. So the taller organism is, so in this case, birch trees are the tallest one. That will be the one that has the more number of organisms. But notice that it doesn't have the same number of organisms every time. As time passed, it increased the number of organisms, but at some point, it started decreasing the number of organisms. If you want to take a guess, maybe something happening here. Maybe the environment changed somewhere along this time. Maybe this was 2 years ago. And then these organisms started decreasing while other organisms started increasing, okay? While other populations started increasing. So just wanted to let you know these type of graphs. I know it looks confusing, but this is just time passing when you go from left to right, and number of organisms when you go from bottom to top, all right? So the tallest ones are always the more organisms they have in this population.